Mercedes-Benz is unquestionably the most famous name in automotive history. It is probably more universally known throughout the world than Rolls-Royce. To many people, the name means many things. Elegant limousines, sleek sports cars, tiny economy cars, magnificent trucks. But to the motoring enthusiast, the name means Grand Prix cars, and at that, the most successful and unique Grand Prix cars ever built. In 1937, Mercedes, conforming to the FIA formula for that year, designed and built a 5.6-liter car developing over 600 horsepower and weighing 1,800 pounds, producing the best power-to-weight ratio ever achieved. Out of 9 Grand Prix races entered that year, the car won 8 of them. That record speaks for itself. The following year, the FIA formula was altered, limiting engine displacement to 3 liters blown. In that year, Mercedes designed and built a V12 car, developing 480 horsepower and weighing 1,900 pounds. In 2 years racing, this car won 11 races. That record also speaks for itself. But these 2 cars had something besides the ability to win races. Between them, they put out probably the loudest and certainly the most terrifying noises ever created by internal combustion engines. Recently, the Mercedes factory at Stuttgart offered to send these cars to Oulton Park in England for a demonstration. These were sounds that might never be heard again, unique, exciting, and significant. The Riverside recording crew was aboard a luxurious BOAC airliner bound for London within the week. From there, by Hillman estate wagon to Oulton, to await, impatiently and in the pouring rain, this sound. This is the later 3-liter car, with Peter Collins of the Ferrari team at the wheel.
Beautiful.
Yeah, is it?
Mind you, it's
The brakes are very heavy.
the brakes are all right. They're no heavier than they are on a Ferrari anyway.
Really?
Yeah.
The stops is alright.
Huh?
Stops
Stops,
is
oh
alright.
yes, stops all right.
Is that alright?
It's so good. But you'll find the power comes in with a wallop at about 5.5.
That 5.5?
Yeah. But you use these two mostly, you know.
Which?
And to put it in bottom to start, you push that down,
Yes.
and then it'll
there.
go in, you see.
You started in first.
I started in second.
Second.
Here goes. Ça va vite, hein?
Wir können natürlich die Leistung hier nicht auf den Boden bringen bei dem Wetter, das ist ja ganz klar.
Yeah, of course, this weather on this particular
Oh,
track, you can never get it up to the full.
No, but this circuit anyway is very slippery in the wet.
Yes.
Yeah, in the wet. And
Das ist natürlich keine Regenreifen.
but it's
haben wir
much,
natürlich
much
nicht.
more
And you haven't
comfortable
got-
ride than I thought it would be.
It is.
Was meint er?
It's viel bequemer als er gedacht hat.
Das ist ein bisschen eng zum Sitzen.
The only thing is
It's
the
a little
steering wheel.
narrow. It's a little
Yeah,
narrow.
but
The
the-
seat's a little
Yeah,
narrow.
but the steering wheel's a bit near as well, of course.
Steuerrad's ein bisschen nah dran.
Ja, das ist die frühere Fahrer, die sind ganz eng gefahren.
But
Ich
you
kann
think
auch
you
nicht
had
eng
enough
fahren.
power to get around the track all right?
I think we've got enough power to get us from here back up to north of Scotland and back again.
Ich habe ihn als Witz gefragt, aber glaubt, er hat genug Leistung da in dem Motor. Er sagte, ja, da genug bis oben nach
Die
Schottland.
Leistung merkt er oben aus hauptsächlich.
But at 5,500,
Interessant ist.
Wenn er über 5,5
6.000,
rüberkommt.
7.000.
Ja.
Das ist interessant.
when it got around 7,000, I decided that.
Use all gears then.
Yeah, you try them all. They all wear.
Then Tony Brooks of the Van Wall team tried the car.
Well, Peter, you've driven it a few laps. What do you think?
Well, I think it's very surprising. It's nowhere near as bumpy and hard as I thought it would be. And the brakes are very good, about the same pedal pressure as you've got on the Ferrari sports car. The suspension is remarkably comfortable. But at about 6,000 revs, a lot of little men sort of winding up keys for horsepower suddenly appear from somewhere, and it really goes then. My goodness me, between 5,500 revs and, then on up. But it's a very tractable car. It's much more, it's easier to drive than I would have thought it would have been.
You found them vastly different in handling than the cars you've been
Not a lot. I mean, there, when you go around a corner, you've got so much horsepower that if you squeeze the throttle too hard, you go back the other way again and then turn right round. But whereas present-day car, except in lower gear corners, sort of first, second, and third gear corners in a present-day Grand Prix car, you don't, really get the power. With that one, you've got power everywhere. It'd be just the thing to, do a race with. I think we ought to go back to that for them. It's the first time I've ever driven one. I'm all for it. It's fun, that. Huh? Because when I got up this morning and saw it was raining, I thought, oh my God.
How would this car stand in competition with present-day Grand Prix cars?
Oh, I don't think it'd be as fast. It's much bigger. Most of the Grand Prix circuits today are similar to this, very twisty. And even the present-day Ferrari is a bit big, if anything, I think that you see, you can't use the horsepower here. I mean, somewhere like Reims, yes, or Arvis, or something like that. So much power.
Next, the 5.5-liter 8-cylinder car was rolled out, and after protesting a bit, fired up. Collins and Brooks tried a few laps apiece on it. Then Brooks came in and gave his impressions of the car.
Vibration, you see, when I was going around to start with, I couldn't understand what this was, and I suddenly came to the conclusion that it's the Didion tube dancing up and down with wheel spin. So this vibration came in about 3 thou, you see, and I couldn't understand what on earth it was. Just transpired to be this so much power, this car, that, I mean, you can literally spin the wheels anywhere around the circuit you like, top gear, first, second, you know, whatever you like.
Yeah. How do you like it compared to the other one?
Well, this has obviously got far more poke than the other one, and I think that although it has so much steam, when you turn the power on, it doesn't seem to want to make the car go sideways particularly. You just sort of spin the wheels.
Yeah.
And I think if you sort of really got worked up on it, you could go very, very quickly indeed. But in the wet, of course, you just sort of. Well, I don't think the wheels stop spinning if you're not very careful. I used all of them. Well, no, second, third, and fourth. Second, third, and fourth. Yeah. But actually, if you want to, it would be much better to just use third and fourth, because second gear is just wasted. I mean, you just spin the wheels all the time. But I mean, it sort of makes a change, keep swapping the gears.
I suppose you notice there's a lot of difference between driving this and one of the modern.
Yes, you can't get quite as much wheel speed with the others.
Praktisch so, dass man hier nur im dritten Gang bleiben kann.
Yeah. As Mr. Kling says, the only thing you can do practically in this car is stay in third gear.
Yes,
About all you can do.
yeah. Well, I tried second as well, third and fourth.
What kind of revs are you turning?
Well, I can get up to this car only revs to about 5 thou, but it develops about 250 horsepower at 2 thou, so you don't have to go much higher than that. But I think we're taking up to about 5, you know, in third. But you were sort of flicking up there all the time because the wheels never stop spinning. I mean, you've got a sort of one of these torque converters built in without trying.
You suddenly realise what 620 horses can do.
Yes, certainly is fantastic. I mean,
Trockenen Wetter ist natürlich wesentlich angenehmer.
Wie? Yeah.
Trockenen Wetter ist
In dry weather, it'd be much easier.
Yeah,
of course.
easier, yeah.
What about the steering? Is it?
The steering feels fine. I mean, you know, you feel as if you really got to know this car. You could, really work wonders with
Is
it.
it as hard as the other one was?
No. The ride is perhaps a little harder than this. I mean, you can sort of see about a year
This one
and
is
a half.
harder.
Yes, you can see about a year and a half development in the 38, 39 car.
Nee, wir reden vom Steuerung.
How would you do at Nürburgring with this car in today's races against today's competition?
Well, I mean, there's 20 years development. It wouldn't be fair to compare them because the new car's a little small, a little more manageable. But certainly, you don't. I mean, there's nothing like 20 years progress since these cars were made in the current Grand Prix racing, I don't think.
And of course, Nürburgring is not exactly the kind of track, too many curves and so forth. But
Yes.
on the Avers, for example,
Yes,
10
oh yes,
kilometers straight
yes,
each way.
yes. I mean, this is the fastest road racing car ever built. No doubt about that. Well, the brakes are a little heavier, and on this it's just tending to lock a little bit. I'm not sure whether it's front or back. You're too busy looking where you're going. But I think apart from that, they're very good.
With the aid of an interpreter, we spoke with Carl Kling, ex-driver for Mercedes, who now manages the racing team.
Since Mr. Kling's English is somewhat limited, if you'll permit me, I will introduce him also. Mr. Kling has recently been appointed the manager of the Daimler-Benz racing stable following the retirement of Mr. Neubauer. I would prefer just acting as the interpreter and letting Mr. Kling tell you the history. I'll ask him. Die Herren möchten gern, dass Sie, nachdem ich Sie eben vorgestellt habe und mich selbst auf Ihren Wunsch, dass Sie uns etwas erzählen über die Entwicklung und die Geschichte von Anfang an dieses Wagens.
Der letzte Wagen, wo Sie gerade den Ton des
All who love
Auspuffgeräusches
beautiful
aufgenommen
sounds,
haben,
like the two cars
stammt an sich
recorded here,
entwicklungsmäßig,
will note Mr. Kling's superb
den
speaking
wir
voice.
von 30 bis 33 im Rennsport pausiert haben, stammt diese letzte Tübe entwicklungsmäßig von 1934.
Since the sound that you just took of this particular car, that car originated actually in 1933. If you will recall, from 1930 to 1933, Daimler-Benz did not race. We stopped. And in 33, we started again and started the development of this particular car.
Dieser Typ selbst ist aber eine Tübe gebaut worden für die Rennen ab 1937 bis die neue Rennformel kam, 3 Liter mit Kompressor oder 4,5 Liter ohne Kompressor.
In welchem Jahr war das?
Das kam ab Jahr 38.
This type actually raced for the first time in 1937. And starting with the year 1938, a new formula had been instituted which limited the cars to 3 liters blown or 4.5 liters unblown. Therefore, this car then did not race anymore.
Der Wagen, den Sie heute Morgen gesehen haben, wo Sie auch Ihr Geräusch sehr wahrscheinlich aufgenommen haben, das ist Entwicklung ab 37, die neue Formel.
Also nachfolgend diesem.
Nachfolgend diesem, was Sie jetzt vorausgehend,
Ja.
wir können ja uns das so, was Sie jetzt da vorausgehend gesagt haben.
Ja.
Dieser Typ aber ist gebaut worden 38,
Den heute Morgen.
den wir heute Morgen hatten. Die Zwischentübe haben wir nicht hier.
The car of which you, I believe, took the sounds this morning, that we raced this morning, was the first one developed for the new formula. As you know, it's a 3-liter car. And that car was the first one we used in 1938.
Der Wagen von vorhin, der hat 750 Kilo Trockengewicht ohne Reifen und ca. 620 Horsepower.
The car that we just now heard, that you took,
8
this last
cylinder.
one, the 8-cylinder one, weighs 750 kilos dry without tires, but develops 620 horses, which is quite a ratio, as I'm quite sure most of the listeners will realize.
Das ist ein 8-Zylinder-Motor mit einem Kompressor.
It's an 8-cylinder engine with one compressor.
Währenddem der 3 Liter ein 12-Zylinder-Motor ist mit einem Doppelstufenkompressor.
While the 3-liter car is a 12-cylinder car with a two-stage blower
Mit 480 Horsepower.
and 480 horsepower. Because we did.
840 Kilo trocken.
And the last one weighs 840 kilos
Trocken.
dry. Können Sie uns etwas sagen, welche berühmten Fahrer diese beiden Wagen gefahren haben und was ihre Rennen gewesen
1934, wo wir zum ersten Mal gestartet sind, mit der vorausgehenden Entwicklung dieser Type 37, ist Manfred von Brauchitsch, Fagioli.
1934, when we started with the forerunner of the car you just heard, the victorious drivers were Manfred von Brauchitsch and Fagioli.
Italiener.
It?
Italiener.
In Italiener.
Fagioli.
Was
Dann
in Italien.
1935 kam Caracciola wieder zu uns, nachdem er aus seinem Unfall wieder kuriert war. Da bestand die Mannschaft Brauchitsch, also Caracciola, Fagioli, Manfred von Brauchitsch.
In 1935, after Caracciola had recuperated from his accident, he rejoined the factory team, and it then consisted of Caracciola, von Brauchitsch and Fagioli.
Die Wagen wurden nur in den europäischen Grand Prix eingesetzt.
Cars were only permitted and entered in European Grand Prix races.
Auch 1936 haben wir diese Wagen weiterentwickelt und haben sie auch wieder in die Grand Prix eingesetzt. Da haben wir aber mal nach Ausgang des Jahres bei ein paar Rennen pausiert, weil wir nicht ganz zufrieden waren.
In 1936, after some further development had taken place on the cars, we again entered Grand Prix races, but towards the end of the year, we purposely skipped 2 or 3 for purely technical reasons.
Und 1937 haben wir mit diesem Wagen, den Sie hier zuletzt gesehen haben, sämtliche Grand Prix bestritten und haben auch fast alle Grand Prix gewonnen.
In 1937, we entered the Grand Prix races with the car you just heard and saw. We entered all of the Grand Prix races and won almost all of them.
Unser größter Gegner bei den Grand Prix ab 1934 bis 1939 war die Auto-Union.
Our biggest opponent from 34 to 37 in the Grand Prix races were the Auto Union cars.
Und 1937 kam Hermann Lang, der damalige Nachwuchsfahrer, auf diese Wagen und hat fast ab 1937 alle anderen vorausgehenden Fahrer geschlagen.
In 1937, Hermann Lang, a young German, as we call it, apprentice driver, the official status, was started on these cars and in the ensuing years beat all the records of the previous drivers on these cars.
Hermann Lang hat dreimal hintereinander das große Tripolis-Rennen gewonnen. 37, 38 und 39. Auf dem 37er Modell, auf dem 38er Modell und 1939 auf der damaligen schnelle Entwicklung 1,5 Liter mit Kompressor. Den haben wir innerhalb eines halben Jahres entwickelt und haben ihn auch eingesetzt und haben sofort auf Anhieb gewonnen.
Hermann Lang proceeded in 1937, 38 and 39 to win each time the Grand Prix race of Tripolis. In 1939, we suddenly were given 6 months' time to develop a 1.5-liter car because of limitations the Italians had placed on it, which we proceeded to do, put Hermann Lang on it, and he won, hands down.
Die Italiener wollten uns ein Handicap auflegen, da sie mit unserer vorausgehenden Konstruktion nicht mehr mitgekommen sind. Haben sie plötzlich für 39 die 1,5 Liter Formel gebracht und haben mitgedacht, da sie Entwicklungen schon hatten, da kommen wir diesmal nicht mit. Und siehe da, wir haben davon Wind bekommen, haben innerhalb eines halben Jahres diese neue Type entwickelt und auf Anhieb alle Konkurrenten geschlagen.
The background story to it was the fact that in 1939, the Italians realized that as far as design, development, construction of race cars were concerned, we managed to get a little bit ahead of them. So they decided for their Grand Prix race to change the formula to limit it to 1.5 liters. Our factory sort of got wind of it, and within 6 months, which is a very, very short time for designing, developing a Grand Prix racing car, especially if you have been fooling around in twice the displacement, we developed this car, and as I said, put Hermann Lang in it, and he won it.
Can we have a little bit of your background as far as past victories are concerned and past racing is concerned?
I'll be glad to ask him, but it'll be quite a list. Sie möchten gern etwas wissen über Ihre eigenen Rennerfolge. Und ich hatte Ihnen gesagt, dass Sie sich darauf vorbereiten müssten, dass es eine ziemliche Liste wird.
Schön gut, was soll man da sagen?
Ich würde Ihnen einfach sagen, die Jahre, in denen Sie
fangen
Rennen gewonnen
wir
haben.
so an. Ich habe sehr früh mit dem Sport sympathisiert, schon als kleiner Junge. Und habe ab 37 bei der Firma Daimler-Benz im Fabrikteam für Zuverlässigkeitsfahren und Sportfahren gefahren.
He started as a small boy being very interested in automobiles and anything connected therewith, and started on the factory team in 1937 as it was officially called then a reliability driver in reliability tests and in sports car races.
Wenn der Krieg nicht gekommen wäre, wäre ich zu der Rennabteilung gestoßen und hätte auch Grand Prix Rennen gefahren. Das war vorgesehen.
Ja.
Aber durch den Krieg ist diese Idee hinfällig geworden.
Originally, it was planned that Mr. Kling would join the Grand Prix team of Mercedes-Benz team, and only the war prevented his doing so.
Nach dem Krieg, ab 1946, habe ich selbst bis 1950 mir selbst 3 Rennwagen gebaut. Das waren damals die Veritas-Wagen und habe damit 3-mal hintereinander die deutsche Sportwagenmeisterschaft gewonnen.
In 1946, Mr. Kling,
Bis 1950.
until 1950, successively built 3 racing cars of his own, the Veritas cars, and won, in each case, the German Sports Car Championship.
Ab 1950 hat sich Daimler-Benz wieder mit dem Gedanken getragen, den Rennsport aufzugreifen. Somit bin ich auch wieder damals in die Rennabteilung gestoßen und habe 1951 zum ersten Mal ein ausgesprochenes Grand Prix-Rennen auf dem Typ, den Sie hier hatten, 1938, 3-Liter-Kompressor in Argentinien.
Das war 51.
1951.
In 1951, Mercedes-Benz started again in Grand Prix racing, and Mr. Kling joined the Mercedes-Benz team and started on the car we saw here today, the 3-liter car, in the Grand Prix of Argentina.
1952 haben wir aus unserem Typ 300 den Typ 300 SL entwickelt. Mit dem 300 SL sind wir 1952 haben wir uns an sämtliche Sportwagenrennen beteiligt und haben auch praktisch diese großen Rennen, sind ja nicht ganz unbekannt, wie die Carrera, 24 Stunden von Le Mans, Sportwagenpreis von Bern, großer Sportwagenpreis vom Nürburgring und Mille Miglia erfolgreich abgeschnitten.
In 1952, we developed from our original 3-liter car the now famous 300 SL, with which we entered the International Sports Car Championships in Bern, Nürburgring,
24 Stunden Rennen Le Mans,
24-hour Le Mans, Carrera Panamericana,
Mille Miglia.
and the Mille Miglia. And in each case, as you well know, Daimler-Benz won.
When is Mercedes-Benz coming back to international racing?
Möchte jetzt die übliche Frage wissen, wann Daimler-Benz wieder in das Rennen eintritt. Und Sie möchten sich bitte Ihre Zeit nehmen, bevor Sie es beantworten. Das gut überlegen.
Zu beantworten, das weiß kein Mensch.
It is
Weder
very,
die Direktion, weder ich, weder sonst noch jemand.
I will give you a literal translation that is very simple to answer. No one knows, neither the management, nor the president, nor Mr. Kling.
The 3-liter car, the Model 163.
Then, rather rudely interrupting the dignified gentleman explaining things to the crowd, the 2 cars were fired up together and went off on their demonstration run. After 6 laps, both cars came in, and Collins and Brooks changed places. This is indeed a magnificent sound, never to be heard again on the famous circuits of the world. Better not to think of these two remarkable machines returned to the dark and dusty obscurity of a silent museum. Better to leave them here, spitting out their colossal sound, menacing and alive, in the heat of battle where they achieved their greatest triumphs.